afternoon and welcome to the Chicago Treasurer's Office exciting new financial education program called Money Matters Institute, or MMI. I'm Dana Eubanks, the Director of Financial Education here at the Treasurer's Office, and we want to share with you that we're excited that you're here and delighted you'll join us this afternoon. The mission of MMI is to empower all Chicagoans with the knowledge and skills needed to make informed financial decisions as you build wealth today for tomorrow. We are now in step 3 of a 3-step series of programs through webinars and workshops that extend now through November. The topic of today's session is risk and insurance. We'll learn why insurance and assessing your risk tolerance is an important part of your financial plan. This workshop is designed to help us understand the basic concepts of insurance. And throughout the presentation, we encourage you to feel free to please post your questions in the chat. And at the end of the presentation, we will respond to your questions. We are honored to have our partners here today for our risk and insurance conversation from State Farm Insurance and the Center for Changing Lives. Joining us is Harvey Adams, agent owner of Harvey Adams Insurance Agency of State Farm. He will be presenting Insurance 101, understanding the basic concepts of insurance. And following Harvey, we will have Julio Sarmiento, Director of Strategic Partnerships for the Center for Changing Lives. He'll be presenting information on services that the Center for Changing Lives can provide. That includes the one-on-one financial counseling that is extended free of charge through MMI. We will now begin with State Farm. Thank you, Harvey, and we're delighted to have you join us today.
Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Harvey, and hello, I hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Today, I will be talking to you about the basic concepts of insurance so that you could sit back and think about how insurance could actually help you and your family. I'm pretty sure questions are going to come up, especially with insurance, because everyone has experiences, that they've seen or that they've incurred and that for themselves. But what I love about insurance is that it is the ability to help people in a time of need, especially an unexpected time. Without insurance, it can actually put someone in a very financially devastating position. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down some definitions so that you could understand the language of insurance first, okay? So the first definition is called a risk transfer. When you buy an insurance policy, you are essentially transferring the risk of a specific financial loss to an insurance company in exchange for a premium, a regular payment that the insurer agrees to cover a specified loss. So for example, today I know that they were talking about a hurricane in Florida. So if a hurricane happens to destroy your home, the insurance company will cover that particular loss. The second definitions we're going to talk about is premiums, and this is a topic that a lot of my clients do not like to talk about because it can be very expensive. It can go up or down depending on the economy or the environment. The insured person or business pays a premium, which is the cost of insurance. Premiums are typically paid monthly, quarterly, or annually. The premium amount is based on the likelihood of a claim being made, the amount of coverage, and other factors such as age, health, driving record, or even the value of the insured item. Premiums that are paid to insurance companies cover the business operating expenses, such as the claim adjusters that come out to the homes, the actuaries that determine premiums, the agents such as myself, and other employees that work for the company. But the main thing that it pays for is the claim itself. And we're going to talk about coverages. So insurance policies define what is covered and what is excluded. The coverage specifies under what circumstances a payout will be made and to what extent. For example, on the health insurance side, It covers medical expenses, while car insurance covers damages to your vehicle or a third party. Some of the covered perils on the auto side is if you have an accident. So if you run into something or someone, it covers bodily injuries. So if someone is in the hospital due to an accident, it covers vandalism and theft. It does cover other things, but those are the main perils. Some exclusions, because not everybody, but a lot of clients think that if their car breaks down, that the insurance is going to pay for it, but that is something that is excluded. Now, imagine if all insurance companies paid for mechanical breakdown and wear and tear, then the insurance will be very, very expensive. The next definition is called claims and payouts. If a covered event occurs, the policyholder files a claim with the insurance company. The insured assesses the claim, and if it falls under the policy coverage, it pays out an agreed upon amount to cover the loss or damage. The payout amount is usually limited by the policy coverage limits, the deductibles, and other terms. So for example, if you have a total loss for a car, and it's a regular car that you drive, say typically to work or to the store or to church, the insurance companies will pay out what they call actual cash value for your car. So they'll take the depreciation and they look at the depreciation from the year that the car was built or how many miles that you have on your car. And then they will give you what they call a cash value for your car. So if you had a 2012 Toyota and it was totaled out due to some type of claim, you may get, for example, $7,000. Now, for antique classic cars, we will pay what we call agreed value, because a lot of times if you have a rare car, it appreciates in time. So if you have a 1968 Ford Mustang, that car may be worth $50,000. And if the insurance companies know that you could get $50,000 if you sold that car, we will insure it for that amount, okay? Homes are normally, the total losses on a home is usually done through replacement costs. So that take care of all of the new labor costs, the materials that the home is made of. And so if there is a tornado or a hurricane that destroys your home, we will replace that house to the same like conditions that it was prior to being destroyed. And then of course, life insurance, if there's a claim, we call that a death benefit. So some of the type of insurances that we have now at State Farm in particular, we carry about 120 different products, but here are some of our main insurances that we sell. Life insurances, that's something that we provide a payout or death benefit to the beneficiaries in case there is a death of that particular person that's insured. Health insurance covers major medical expenses in case someone is sick or injured. Auto insurance covers damage to vehicles, bodily injury and liability for accidents where you have to go to the hospital. And it also covers property damage. So if you run into another car or a home or a street pole, your car insurance will cover those particular property damages. Business insurance, we also, there's a lot of people that are going into business for themselves. So we do cover business insurance, which protects companies against various risks, such as liability, which normally covers slip, trips, and falls, property damage to your building, or even employee-related risks, such as workers' comp. I did see homeowners, renters insurance in there that protects your home or rental properties against damage or theft. The next slide is risk pooling. So insurance companies rely on the concept of risk pooling, where premiums from many policyholders are used to pay for losses of a few who experience and insured event. Since not all policyholders will make a claim, the company can spread the risk and ensure that it can cover all claims. So, for example, with health insurance, we know that the healthier the pool of policyholders, the cheaper the insurance premiums will be. States like California and Florida right now are having a real difficult time with risk pooling right now because of climate change. As you know, in California, they deal with a lot of weather-related type of situations and wildfires. As a matter of fact, most insurance companies had pulled out of California because they were just not profitable in that particular area. In Florida, the insurance is very expensive. The insurance in Illinois for homeowners probably average right a little bit under $2,000 a year, but in Florida, the averages are right around $6,000 a year for homeowners insurance. All right, deductibles. I also call this particular definition skin in the game. Okay, many policyholders include a deductible, which is the amount of insured that the insured must pay out of pocket before the insurance companies will pay the remaining claim. So the higher deductible typically leads to lower premiums and vice versa. In essence, insurance companies will allow individuals and businesses to mitigate the impact of unforeseen events, providing a sense of financial security by spreading the cost of the potential losses across the broader group of participants. So with life insurance, you have no deductible. That's just based upon your age and your health. But usually with car insurance and home insurance, you are going to have a deductible so that you could put some skin in the game to keep your premiums as low as possible. So what's important for you to protect? That's the number one question, and that's up to you to decide. So insurance is needs-based. So you have to think about what is important for you. There are short-term goals and long-term goals that you have for insurance. And even though it says auto insurance is under short-term, it also can be long-term. It depends on how long you keep your car. Typically, people keep their car for about 5 years, but in today's environment where autos are so expensive, they're trying to stretch it out for 10 or 12 years. Renter's insurance is usually something that's short-term, but I do have clients that rent pretty much all their lives. We have short-term disability, which is usually if you are disabled for under 12 months. Long-term disability, if it's 2 years or longer. Motorcycle insurance, which could be short-term or long-term. We also have homeowners insurance, which typically is long-term. Most people stay in their homes for quite a long time, unless they're moving out of state for a job relocation, et cetera. Some of the factors that can play a role in your individual insurance coverages are credit. Do you have a good credit score? A lot of companies actually look at that because they look at if a person have a great credit score, there are less risk of having some type of accident or a situation. They look at your loss history. Loss history is an insurance language. So typically for auto insurance, they're looking at the last 3 years. For homeowners insurance, now it was 3 years. Now they're looking at the last 5 years. They look at the zip code. So if you are in a very dense area like Chicago, your insurance may be a little bit higher based upon your zip code. If you lived in Kankakee or some rural part of Illinois, your insurance premiums may be a little bit lower because typically there's nothing that's really happening in a rural part of town. They also look at your age. So for car insurance, for example, if the younger you are, the more expensive your insurance is because you don't have a lot of experience behind the wheels. And believe it or not, after the age of 76, it typically goes up because the older clientele tend to have lost their reflexes or sight, and they get into more bumpers, even though they may not drive in the nighttime or a lot. Also, what could play a role is the value of your protection. So do you have a $100,000 house or do you have a $2 million house? It just depends. Your liability coverage, how much liability do you want us to cover if you are at fault? So if you ran into someone, do you want us to cover the state minimum of $25,000 for bodily injury? Or are you a business owner that have a lot at stake and you need higher coverages? So do you want us to cover you for $1 million? And then also your payment history. So with AI technology, the insurance companies have gotten very smart, and they usually look at a lot of your payment histories and credit scores to determine what type of premiums that you are going to be paying. So, I would tell people all the time to, please try to keep your credit up, try to make good payment histories on your other utility bills, because that does impact what you are going to be paying in premiums. Okay. So the question is the who, what, when, and why. Who do you go for insurance? Well, I'm a captive agent, so I work for State Farm, and I have about 120 different products that I sell. You also have insurance brokers. So if someone tries to get with State Farm and they can't get in, I usually would refer them to a broker who normally will have maybe 10 to 15 different companies under their belt, which they will be able to see who can see where you can apply for insurance. What companies do you use? Well, you do your research. You want to pick a company that has very good ratings, good reviews, and customer satisfaction ratings. That's very important. When do you start an insurance policy? Well, that's up to you. You would start an insurance policy when you have a need for insurance. Okay. So if you are going to buy an automobile or a homeowner's, then it's required. You have to have it for auto insurance because it's state law. And for homeowners insurance, if you're not going to buy it cash and you're going to have a loan on the home or a mortgage, then you are required to have homeowners insurance, because you are technically not the owner until that mortgage is actually paid off. Why? Why do you need insurance? It's to protect you from events or unforeseen circumstances that may happen in our environment, such as a hurricane or a tornado. And how do you get it? All you have to do is call an agent or a broker like myself. So I've been in the industry for 17 years, and I don't have all the answers, but we have the resources to get the answers. Okay. The last thing to consider when you're looking at insurance protection is, okay, you worked all of your life to protect your assets, and how can you pass this on to your heirs, the next generation, your children, your loved ones, or even organizations that you cherish so much. You hire a good attorney or to consult with to find out how you can start an estate planning. And typically you would do that through a trust or through wills. And as long as you have the 4 basic components of a trust and will, then you will be in good shape. But you got to talk to an attorney so that they could design one for you. And everyone is going to be a little bit different, because people have some have a few assets, and typically it's their home, and some people may have a lot of assets to protect. So that's why it's important to see an attorney to consult with your estate planning. Okay, and that is my time, and thanks for me being allowed to share this information with you today.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank the Treasurer's Office for this fantastic opportunity, to give me the opportunity to come here and speak to you all. And want to thank Harvey and State Farm too for sharing that wonderful piece of knowledge in terms of what it really means to learn a little bit more about risk and insurance. I am simply here as a resource to present to you all a little bit more about who we are here at Center for Changing Lives. And so I want to sort of share a little bit more about what's next, right? We heard a lot from Harvey. Again, thank you so much for your time and information, Harvey. And so want to share a little bit more about how we can continue to partner and take the next step forward in terms of sharing what different programs and resources we can offer to you all here at Center for Changing Lives. So first and foremost, Center for Changing Lives, we are a nonprofit financial opportunity center located in West Logan Square. We've been in the neighborhood for well over 35 years. Actually, we're celebrating our 35th anniversary this year. We'll be celebrating at the South Chicago Cultural Center, but we do have humble roots and humble beginnings. We did start off as kind of just a small congregation of folks looking to give back to the community. We were part of the United Methodist Church in Humboldt Park, and we were founded officially in 1989 as Humboldt Park Social Services. And like I mentioned, we've been in the community for 35 years now. We are a bilingual and bicultural social service provider, and we take the grassroots approach in order to work collaboratively with our community residents in order to do a number of different things, which I'll get to later on in the presentation. So next slide, please. Well, so I started talking about who we are, and we identify as a financial opportunity center. And so I wanted to give a textbook definition and share a little bit more about really what that means. If you do decide to come and work a little bit more and build on, like I mentioned, some of the things that Harvey has started talking about. And so officially, right, a financial opportunity center, or an FOC, is a career and financial coaching service center that helps families living on a low to moderate income build smart, money habits to help you focus on your own financial bottom line. I share this because it's really important for folks and community residents to learn a little bit more about what an FOC is, because if you can truly understand what an FOC is, then you really understand who we are as an agency here at Center for Changing Lives, and you can learn a little bit more about the expectations wanting to get enrolled into our services. The one caveat and note that I do want to mention is the cornerstone of the FOC model is that all of these services are provided in a meaningful and integrated approach rather than one standalone service, which I'll get to and provide some examples of in the future. So basically, we provide wraparound holistic service approach, right? If folks are coming in expecting one particular service, they can still receive that service, but we do encourage folks to engage in all the other coaching services that I'll talk about shortly. Perfect. Yes. I also want to mention our philosophy, because I think our approach is very unique. I mentioned we're bilingual, we're bicultural. We are a financial opportunity center. We're a nonprofit. We're a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. And so the tool or the method, right, or the driving force behind the way that we interact with all our community residents, which hopefully will include all of you all by the end of the call, is we take the coactive coaching approach, which I think is very different, and it flips, the typical social service provider narrative. It kind of flips it on its head, because we give all the power to our members, right? First and foremost, you're not a client, you're not a patient, you're not a caseworker. You are a member of our agency, because we do think that there are no transactional relationships. We're simply here as a resource. We put our members in the driver's seat, we're in the passenger seat, right? And so we truly live and breathe this motto, right? That we truly believe that all of our members are innately creative, resourceful, capable, and whole. You are the experts of your own lives. You know what's worked and what hasn't worked. We're simply here as a resource or a tool or support to be able to showcase some of the important things that you already know, right? It's pretty common information that in order to be, kind of wealthy and prosperous, we need to focus on a couple of different key things. You all know that information, right? And so we're simply here to provide those different means to achieving, those different goals that you've set out for yourself. Next slide, please. Perfect. So I've been talking a lot and alluding to our services. And so we can get into some of that a little bit here. And so these are the four major categories of services that we offer here to the community. Like I mentioned, everything is bilingual, bicultural, free of charge as well. And so I'll go through each individual category to share a little bit more about what that looks like. But essentially, these are the four major services. So housing and financial coaching, employment coaching, resource development coaching, and small business coaching, which again sort of takes all the components of what Harvey has been talking about and what you've been learning throughout this, Money Matters Institute curriculums. And so now we're trying to provide you with that supportive figure and guide to help you sort of take your goals to the next level. So next slide, please. And we'll start very briefly by talking about our employment coaching framework and really what that consists of, right? And so when we talk about employment coaching, it's a number of different levels, right? So it's really job readiness and job retention, but also digital capacity building to ultimately find that level of success that you, again, are coming to us with and you tell us what you're looking for. So job readiness and retention could look very directly like resume and cover letter, right? Like, hey, I've been applying for jobs day in and day out, and I'm not getting any calls back, or I'm not making it to the next level, to the next stage. They're not even offering me an interview. What am I doing wrong? Or can you help me, right? Maybe I don't interview well. We've all been in that precarious situation where we're preparing for an interview, and then you think you're prepared and ready to go, and then as soon as the interview starts, everything goes flying out the window. And so we can provide the readiness and retention supports that, kind of you are sharing with us in terms of where you think you're at, right? Given your journey. And so this is kind of what we mean by employment coaching. So it's sitting down with you, reviewing what experience you have, what's worked, what hasn't worked, right? Currently where you're at in the job search process. So we can take that individualized approach in order to figure out how we can best support you and your needs. So whether that's providing you with job leads or reviewing your resume and providing you that hard critique and feedback. Maybe it's preparing you for that next interview by doing some mock interview prepping and sort of brainstorming these powerful questions. We can provide all those individualized services tailored to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Conversely, too, it's one thing to talk about job readiness, but it's another completely different topic to talk about helping you keep the job, right? And so that's what we mean by when we say job retention is we don't only want to see you being placed in a job, which is what most staffing agencies will do, right? It's like, hey, great, you've been placed. The rest is up to you. Pretty hands-off approach. We don't believe in that sort of that sort of philosophy, right? So we're the long-term focused agency, and so we will provide consistent check-ins and support, right? Every 30, 60, 90 days that you've been on that job, we're going to be in your inbox. We're going to be in your voicemail, in your call logs, checking in to see, hey, how's it going on the job? Was it what you expected? Is it working out? Is the pay sufficient based on what you've got set out for yourself and your family? If not, great. How do we continue working alongside one another to take you to that next level? Yes, and so I mentioned digital capacity building because we do offer certification programs. So that is one of the programs that we do offer. So, for example, we do offer the Google IT Support Certification Program. So, for us, the moniker that we've sort of put for this program is called Black and Latinx in Tech. And it's essentially a 6-month college course. That's how we're pitching it for folks. So, you have up here on the screen an example of some of the requirements that folks should sort of take into consideration if they do want to explore. But essentially, we are able to provide a certification if folks are looking for a DIY credential that will then sort of make them more of an attractive candidate once they do, start the job search process in this particular field. So this is a great program for those individuals, again, that are looking to get into IT. Maybe you are looking for a career shift and you don't have the experience, that minimum experience necessary. Maybe you haven't been getting a lot of callbacks and you haven't been sort of being pushed to the next level, and you're looking for that DIY credential that you think once we put that on your resume that might boost your presence once you do start applying for those different positions. And so that's one of the many programs that we have to offer here at CCL. Perfect. And so we do offer generalized employment coaching as well. So, if you've been listening to kind of me share a little bit more, and maybe the Google IT program is not not interesting to you, maybe the time commitment is not quite there at the moment. Maybe you have different employment goals altogether. Maybe you're already working and you already have a job, but right there are additional goals that you're looking to achieve. So, for example, if you are looking for a career shift, if you're currently in an industry and something is really calling to you on the other side, right, and you're really looking to explore what options and opportunities and alternatives are available to you, this would be a perfect program for you to sort of explore. So, general employment coaching. Not interested in a certification, not interested in a 6-month credential program, fine, as long as you have an employment goal that you're looking to explore with a member of our team. We would be more than happy to work alongside you throughout this journey. Perfect. And so I'll switch gears to talk a little bit about our housing and financial coaching framework, because I think this goes really complementary to everything that Harvey has been mentioning, and again, it's complementary to the MMI curriculum that you all sort of have been experiencing and sort of been enrolled in. And so we are HUD approved housing counseling experts here at Center for Changing Lives. All of our coaches are HUD approved. What does that mean? So that means that we've gone through the rigorous process of really knowing kind of the mortgage and the home ownership lending process at the back of our hand. We are unbiased sort of third party, right? So we don't steer any individuals to any particular lender, bank, or financial institution. We simply are here to empower and educate. So if you do have homeownership goals, right, as Harvey mentioned, right, there's a overlap in terms of insurance, like renters insurance, tenants insurance, right, homeowners insurance. If you're looking to learn a little bit more about those different caveats, those different programs and tidbits, right, about what it means to find stable housing, we would be an excellent resource for you to explore and work alongside with, right? So under our housing kind of programs and services, we do homelessness prevention. We provide resources for renters and homeowners, and like I mentioned, first-time home buyers. So if you've ever explored or even thought about or dreamt about what it would mean to, move out of the apartment and purchase your own house, and you think to yourself, oh, that's in this market, it's completely unaffordable, it's unattainable. I would challenge that belief and that idea and say, great, come and talk to one of our housing and financial coaches to really explore kind of what that looks like, because everybody's situation is unique. Right? We don't make any assumptions that everybody has the same goals and same lived experiences. And so really, we do encourage an open dialogue and communication to figure out if this is a goal that works based on your household income, your household size, your needs, the neighborhood that you're looking to move into, right, and set your roots down in. These are some of the important tidbits that we can provide, given our housing kind of and financial coaching framework. Additionally, the financial piece, right? I mentioned it's housing and financial, right? And so we do a lot of fact finding. Like I mentioned, the FOC definition is a career and financial coaching service agency that helps folks focus on your financial bottom line. And so we do a lot of conversations around supports around building, an intentional budget, a savings plan, of building credit, right? Something that Harvey touched on earlier. If folks are interested in really what it means to unlock kind of the wealth building opportunities behind credit, right? Those are conversations that you can have, intentional and individualized conversations that you can have with a housing and financial coach. Next slide, please. Wonderful. And so I did want to mention, right, so our framework exists in the individual, but also the group coaching capacity. And really what we mean by that is we offer free workshops, financial literacy, financial capability workshops. What I've got listed here are some examples of some of the titles of the series of workshops that we offer. For example, the first time home buyer education workshop, which we offer monthly. It's on the third Saturday of the month. But we do have other series of workshops. So for example, right, Cafepo, that is when we pick a new and kind of interesting financial topic, and those run the gamut, right? They could be pre-purchase, post-purchase, financial 101, right? Just listening to Harvey speak, I would love to invite Harvey to come and present at another one of our different spaces, right? About, kind of insurance, excuse me, and those different glossary terms and terminology. And so all of our workshops are free, open to the public. You do have to register ahead of time, and I can share that information at the close of the presentation. But this is just another aspect of the work that we can engage in together. Okay, switching gears, I did want to share about our resource development coaching framework as another expectation for you all to receive. And so here at Center for Changing Lives, we also do offer income supports coaching, right? So basically what that means is we'll help you discover any free or low cost mainstream public benefit programs that you can apply for if you did not already know that those services are available and eligible to you, right? So for example, and this coincides with all the other services that I've been talking about so far, but for example, if you want to work on a budget and we're sitting down and you want to save for a house, right? And your saving plan is not quite there, right? In order to meet the down payment goal, which we all know, right? For home ownership, you do have to put a considerable down payment on a house. And so what we can do is work together with a resource development coach to figure out what's your budget look like? Well, what are you spending the most on? Are you spending a lot on healthcare and, for example, right, food and groceries, right? Great. Can we meet with a resource development coach to see if you're eligible for public assistance programs like SNAP, TANF, SSI, and SSDI, right? And so, right, in that ideal scenario, you are discovering that you're eligible for SNAP, you're applying for SNAP, you're being approved for SNAP or health insurance. Medicaid, Medicare, right? Some of these mainstream benefit programs. Great, those are less costs that you have to take on the burden of each month, and so that's money that you're saving instead of buying groceries. You can now use your your SNAP benefits, and then those funds that you would have otherwise spent on food and groceries can now go towards that savings plan, right? And so that's kind of how we operate here at CCL. It's sort of a team approach to figure out how can we provide that, again, that intentional wraparound holistic services. And so one of the ways that we do that is by exploring any mainstream public benefits that you may not know that you are eligible for. Wonderful. And so I did share a little bit about the credit building aspect of the work that we do. I did want to sort of do a soft pitch because we do have an actual tool, right? A physical tool that we do offer to all of our members that are interested in credit building, right? And so for us, we've partnered with this wonderful organization called Mission Asset Fund. And they've established this platform or program called Lending Circles. And for folks that are unfamiliar with Lending Circles, it's a common practice, right? Albeit it's been sort of not legitimate, right? It's maybe kind of folks and family members and friends getting together and starting a lending circle. And so what we've done is we've partnered with this organization that has sort of legitimized the process. And so what we do is we treat a lending circle as a revolving line of credit, like you're paying back a loan. You're not actually spending any money, right? You're actually saving. But what we're able to do in partnership with Mission Asset Fund is we report those monthly payments as kind of you paying off the loan, which will then generate a little boost in a credit score at the end of the term. And so, for example, what that looks like is you and five other people, right? Our circles are typically six individuals, 6 months long. So for six individuals, 6 months long, each month you'll pay $50 into a pot of money. Each month that pot of money will go to a new person, right? So you're actually getting all your money back. Six payments of $50 across 6 months is $300. So you get that money back, but we are reporting it as sort of like a $300 loan, right? A line of credit. And so that gets generated as again a line of credit to the three credit bureaus, and so that's how you're able to see kind of a boost in your credit score. And so the reason why I mention this is because the whole purpose of MMI is to explore, right, what ways to accelerate and explore wealth building opportunities, right? And oftentimes we do see that our individuals and our community members, they are held back by their credit score, right? Credit being one of those aspects that really holds an individual back from achieving some sort of financial success or stability, right? And so because of that, CCL reflected on what partnerships we could explore in order to provide an alternative, an option, or a solution to that barrier. The barrier being credit score, right? Or insufficient credit score, right? And so because of that, we've partnered with the right people, the right organizations, such as Lending Circles, to explore this opportunity as a way to provide an individual an option to solving for that barrier, which is again insufficient credit score. And so we'll do that in conjunction to the housing and financial coaching to figure out how do we continue supporting and providing again those wraparound services to all of our individuals. And at the same time, right, they're meeting to some of our partners, they're meeting with our partners and sort of figuring out what does the home ownership process look like? Because again, it's unique to every individual. If you have a case by case scenario, there's going to be a million of different variables. And so for us, it's really important to sit down and learn from you directly. Great. What are your goals? What are you hoping to achieve? Again, what have you tried? What are successes? What are some failures? So that way we can create that individualized plan for you and your family. Perfect. And this takes us to our last of the four major categories of services, which is small business coaching. So again, the whole purpose of MMI is exploring kind of resources and pathways to wealth building opportunities. Small business or entrepreneurialism is, exactly that. It falls right into that bucket. And so here at Center for Changing Lives, we are a neighborhood business development center. So we do operate in conjunction with a lot of local ward offices and the city of Chicago, and to provide intentional sort of expertise around starting a small business. We're not working with big corporate organizations. We're not working with Walgreens and Walmart. We're working with small organizations, small individuals that are looking to breathe life into a marketable skill or something that or maybe an e-commerce store that they've set up on Etsy or eBay and things like that. Those are the folks that we're hoping to work with to educate and empower. And so we'll start very small. So the question that we pose to all of our folks is, do you have a small business plan, idea, or goal? Have you thought about how to bring that conceptual idea to life? What supports do you have access to? Great. Center for Changing Lives could be one of those supports. And so we'll sit down with an individual and explore a business action plan, access to capital, right? What different partnerships that we can refer you out to. There's a lot of financial institutions that offer kind of first-time grants and loans for small business owners. And so we'll take all of that learning knowledge and create that individual plan so we can figure out, again, where do we point you in the right direction and how do we continue to support you given all the other services that I've talked about. Next slide, please. Okay, so that takes us to the end of the wrap up of the kind of welcoming to Center for Changing Lives. I just did want to share some housekeeping kind of logistical tidbits. So we have 2 centralized offices. Our main office is in Logan Square, in the neighborhood of West Logan Square, right in between Hermosa and Logan Square. But we do have a satellite office in South Chicago, 91st and Commercial. If you're familiar with the area, it's right across the street from the South Chicago Public Library, and those are our 2 office locations. Wonderful. And so we do have a link tree. I mentioned those free and open to the public workshops. If you're ever curious and want to learn a little bit more, the link is here. We do publish all of our upcoming events, workshops, news articles, and any good information to share with the community at large. We do publish all of that on our link tree. And so if you want to just take a quick second, throw that into the web address, and you can see all of the upcoming events. You simply have to just click on the link that you'd like. That'll take you to an RSVP page of sorts. We ask for some information, and that'll get you on the list to receive the Zoom invitation or the Google Calendar invite for that next upcoming event. Great. I did want to share some next steps, some expectations. So if you like what you hear today, right, in conjunction to everything that Harvey and Saber has presented, and you like what you hear and you want to learn more, or maybe you want to have a one-on-one conversation with one of our employment coaches or a housing and financial coach or a small business coach, right? The next step would be just to reach out to us. I'll put our information at the end on one of the slides, our social media pages. But these are some of the things that you can expect to attend and to engage in. So one is a membership orientation session, which is not that dissimilar to what I'm doing here today. It's a welcoming to the agency, share a little bit more about who we are and what we do. We'll complete some agency intake paperwork because we are a nonprofit. We do ask for some paperwork. We will ask for some vital docs listed here, and then we'll schedule you to meet with those housing and financial coaches, employment coaches, and small business coaches. Okay, and finally, our social media. This is where you can find up-to-date information on what's happening. Our gala invitation and upcoming events and our partnerships and just fun little tidbits. Our handle is @CCL Chicago for all those different platforms, and we are on LinkedIn as well as Center for Changing Lives. And that is my time. I just wanted to again reiterate and commend the City Treasurer's Office for the opportunity, and thank you all for listening to me ramble here for a bit. But again, if you want to work with an individual and take this information that you've been learning throughout the MMI program, and you want to meet with somebody, we are Center for Changing Lives. We're a nonprofit. We're a community-based organization, and we're here to partner with you all throughout this journey.
Thank you so much, Julio. That was wonderful. We really appreciate the extensive information, and we appreciate everybody as well. We will have questions come from our in a moment that we will put up for you. Some feedback, because I'm very limited in feedback, so hopefully you know.
Okay.
Questions to you in the chat. This is Harvey Adams, who's the agency owner with State Farm, who's talked about the basics of insurance. And this is Julio Pensamiento, who is with the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Center for Changing Lives. You do know that we have, all throughout this program, MMI, we have talked about showing you how things are done in terms of financials. So we all have a basic understanding to build generational wealth in line with the Treasurer's mission to help Chicagoans build generational wealth. That's what this is about, as we said. So every aspect that you need to know about your financial plan, that's what we've talked about. We want to thank all of you for joining us. And so our first question is, I have truly enjoyed the information you provided. Thank you. Do the services at CCL cost anything? Julio?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Evan. Thank you for the question. The short answer is no. We do not we don't charge anything for the services. I mentioned bilingual, bicultural, and open to the public. So that translates to our coaching services as well as the workshops. So everything that you see on the link tree is absolutely free of charge.
All right. This question is from Gina. The pros and cons of if, should, and how life insurance policy.
Okay, I could handle that one right there. So if you are taking a loan out on a life policy, most likely you have a permanent insurance policy, which is whole life. Okay, it accumulates cash within the policy, but if you take a loan out, most likely you are gonna owe a small interest rate to pay that loan back. But if something happens, God forbid, but if something were to happen to you and this was your policy, your heirs will still get the death benefit minus whatever the loan amount was at the time, okay? But usually the interest on taking a loan out is usually around 5%. So that does give you a better option than, taking or paying for something on a credit card, which, the interest rates could be anywhere between 19 to 30% now.
That's true. And one of your agency also talked about the vehicle as well to get life insurance policy, a whole life insurance policy to help fund children's education. What can you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times people will use life insurance to fund other things in the future. A lot for retirement. I always say that, people should have a certain type of assets. Whole life insurance is considered an hard asset. So, it does have a lot of living benefits, which I love, and, you have the ability to, our particular products does, you do gain dividends in it. So you could cash those dividends out without having to pay a loan back because you didn't take a loan. Dividends are basically profits from the company that they give you so that your life insurance continue to grow, in the future. I've seen, as a matter of fact, I had a client who passed away recently. They had a policy since 1978, and it started off as a $10,000 death benefit. And I just realized that the policy grew from $10,000 to about $40,000 to pay his heirs off. So it is something that I definitely recommend. I always say that if you're going to do anything to accumulate assets for the future, is to buy a house and also get a rental property and have a whole life insurance policy. Those are like the three major things to do.
House, property, insurance policy.
Absolutely. And those in that order right there.
Very good. And Julio, you also talked about inviting Harvey. I don't know if you heard that invitation, Harvey, to come.
Yes. I'm definitely interested, Julio. I'm welcome to help out. And I love the ministry of actually, helping people with financial education because it's very important, especially in our communities.
Wonderful.
And so for both of you, thank you. That's part of what we've done with MMI, Money Matters Institute, is that we will make sure that we give you the basics of understanding financial education. You've already heard from Harvey about the importance of credit. You know that earlier in our series, we've talked to TransUnion and we talked about credit. Whether you know your credit score or not, there's a score about you, and so many things. So our community partners can help you build the credit and strengthen your savings, reduce your debt. You don't need to pay anybody to do that. The services are free through MMI. The services are free, as you've seen here. There are people that can help you without charging more to put you in deeper debt. We do not want that to happen. So
Absolutely.
Money Matters Institute, we have experts who are giving their time for free, and we're grateful to both of you for the information you shared today. Thank you both, Harvey Adams, Agency of State Farm, and Julio Viento, Director of Strategic Partnerships at the Center for Changing Lives. We thank you both so much for your time. We really appreciate what you've had to share with us. You can meet both of them coming up Before we leave, this Thursday, you can see right there in that corner, this Thursday in person, if you have more questions, you thought, I want to talk to my family and friends, they need to come out and hear this, please come join us, because this marks the last time for this season for MMI that we're doing a webinar. So those of you who've been following us online, we invite you to come out and join us now in person from now through November. And that is, the next thing we're doing is Thursday. That is September 26th. It is at Build Incorporated, 5100 West Harrison, a wonderful space, and we can have a great conversation with State Farm and with the Center for Changing Lives. Again, everything is free of charge. It's 6 o'clock in the evening on this Thursday. We'd also like for you to please tell us about how you feel about this program and what you've learned, your experiences. We need your feedback to help better serve you. So you see a QR code there on the screen. So please share with us. It takes less than 2 minutes to do this survey, and that lets us know what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see more of. That will help us grow this program to better serve you. So we thank you so much. Please be sure to take that survey and get back to us on what you like. And we really so much appreciate the time you've given to this. These also will replay. You'll be able to see this conversation again by going back to chicagocitytreasurer.com/MMI. But the next time after this Thursday that you'll see us, the October events for MMI will be at our special Building Wealth Today for Tomorrow, the Treasurer's signature annual event that comes up Saturday, October 12th. Also free of charge, like every other program through the Treasurer's Office, free of charge. We invite you to come out and see us. We invite you to come out and see our partners, and we are looking forward to having you there. So please stay tuned for a message from our treasurer. We thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
Chicago, get ready to build wealth. Join us for the 4th annual Building Wealth Today for Tomorrow Summit, hosted by me, your girl, Chicago City Treasurer, Melissa Conyears-Ervin. Dive into a day of dynamic workshops, inspiring talks, and networking, all designed to put you on the path to financial success. So join us Saturday, October 12th from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. at the UIC Forum in person, free. Register today at www.chicagocitytreasurer.com/BWTT.